Here's a pretty cool opportunity that I have. Two generations of BMW M5. I have a 2003 E39 M5 with a 6-speed manual and a 400 horsepower V8. And I have the E60 M5 with a 7-speed single clutch automated manual transmission and a 5-liter V10 making 500 horsepower. But it's pretty cool. I mean, you get to see just the different styles that BMW went through to the next generation after the more basic, simple kind of E39 M5, which is this classic BMW style right here. Which, in all honesty, I mean, this is a beautiful car. The proportions are just right. The size is just right. It's not overly big. It's not too small. It's really just a fun car, and especially compared to modern day BMWs. I mean, this older M5 is literally the same size as like a 2017 340i, which is pretty crazy to think about. But as you can see, it's just in great condition. It's only got 113,000 miles on it. It's all original. It does have Dynon cold air intakes, and I think Magnum exhaust, something like that, but it sounds just incredible. And then of course over here, this is a 2007 M5, so this is the next generation after the E39. This has black wheels, kind of a bronzish color with the black grills, just to make it look a little bit more modern and up to date. It's definitely a more substantial car. I mean, just right off the bat, it's just a lot bigger than the older M5. Now, it's not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, it's a great handling car. The suspension's tight, and it's easily, you know, tossable, just like this older M5. But this newer M5, this next generation, is just substantially a lot more car than is this older one. That's not saying anything bad about the older one. It's obviously a classic. It's a wonderful car. It's extremely fun to drive, very engaging. But this is a lot more substantial of a car. Very, very quick, a lot faster. Everything about this car is faster than this one. But as far as the fun factor, which one's more fun to drive? You know, to be honest, it depends. Because this newer M5 obviously has such a unique engine, that crazy Formula 1 inspired V10 making 507 horsepower attached to that crazy fast shifting SMG transmission. That's pretty damn fast and very fun, and to be honest, is very unique. This is more of an older hot rod style, just not a basic V8. It's still got 8 individual throttle bodies, making 400 horse. I think it's a little under 400. I think it's like 392 or 397, because they had to change some things for the newer M5s. I think it was 2000 up, maybe 2002 and up. They had to change something in the engine, but ultimately, still, this is a very fast car. It feels like it has more torque down in the low end than the newer M5 does. So that does make it pretty fun to drive. All right, so moving inside. This is kind of cool. It has that ostrich leather insert, which is a little different. It's kind of texturized. It also has a nice suede headliner, which is just super cool. You can't really see it very good, but it has the old school BMW gauges. Those are just so cool. I love that design, and the tachometer obviously lights up as the car warms up, which is pretty cool. Moving on, we have our nav screen, we have our climate controls, we got our wonderful 6-speed manual. Just in excellent condition. Here's that suede you might be able to see. It's just so hard to tell. Then of course you get into the newer M5, and it's just, it's nicer on the inside, of course. It doesn't have a suede headliner. It does not have ostrich leather. However, it does have cool Formula 1 style paddle shifters. It redlines at 8,500 RPM. Still have a sunroof. You got this nice newer updated navigation system, all your climate controls, the SMG transmission. Really a fun car. Another thing is the older E39 M5 does have a sport button that stiffens, or I guess it sharpens up the throttle response. This car has a power button, and it unleashes another 100 horsepower. So just stop driving around town, you're at 400, hit the power button right there, and you'll get up to 500 horsepower. Kind of a cool little feature, but definitely something you don't see on that older one. Now let's really take a look at what separates these two cars, besides size and design and, you know, philosophy, I guess. Let's see. the real reason these cars are so individual. All right, so over here, obviously, is the 5-liter V10. Just a beautiful engine. You do have your separate intake manifolds, but underneath here, there's actually 5 individual throttle bodies per bank. So that would make 10 cylinders, obviously. You can see they really shoehorn that engine in there, and it sounds incredible when it's at full tilt. Over here is kind of the older style BMW engines. As you can see, it does have a huge intake manifold with 2 separate intakes. Now there is 4 individual throttle bodies, 1 for each bank. So that would make obviously 8 individual throttle bodies, kind of a trademark of the BMW M division. The newer cars, they don't do that anymore, unfortunately. I think it was after the E92 M3 and after the E60 M5, they stopped doing that. But really, what a cool car. This particular E39 has Dynon cold air intake system, and I think exhaust. I'm not sure what brand it is, but it does sound pretty cool. So let's crank them up and see how they sound. Very, very nice. Yeah, so I mean, as you can hear, the E60, this newer M5, sounds a lot more exotic, a lot more Lamborghini-esque. The older M5 sounds a lot more Corvette-like, very much more muscle car sounding. Both cars are really cool, and they're 2 totally different animals, to be honest with you. This car definitely is a little bit faster than the older one, but that older one is a little bit more engaging to drive. It just feels like you can kind of thrash it around a little easier. You're rowing your own paddles, so I mean, it's a little bit more involved on that older one. And you know, of course, they're getting harder and harder to find now that are in stock condition, really nice shape. That's why, you know, the E60 is still kind of going down in value, but I think pretty soon it's going to stop and start turning around. You know, whereas the E39 now is getting very hard to find, and if you do find them with like 50, 60,000 miles, people want insane amounts of money for it. You know, 50, 60, $70,000, which, you know, to be honest, a little over the top. But no, this is a beautiful car. This one is actually for sale. Has 113,000 miles on it. It is a 2003. It's fully loaded, every option you can get. It drives great, mechanically sound. This one I'm asking $23,900 for. So that's a pretty fair deal for this kind of car. It's a gorgeous car. It's got the shadow line trim, so you don't have any chrome. Actually, both these M5s have the shadow line trim, where you notice the trim around the windows here is all black, like a nice high gloss black. It does have the original wheels, of course, which I think are probably one of BMW's most beautiful wheels. Same with the E60. The E60 has really incredible looking stock wheels. They're just painted black. Alright guys, well I hope you enjoyed this. It's just a quick little video now that I have the opportunity to show you 2 M5s. Let me know what you guys think. What car would you guys rather have? Let me know in the comments below. I'd be curious to know. The newer M5, the E60 is certainly more luxurious, but of course that older one is just a cool cool piece of history and a classic BMW M car all the way. All right, guys.